Hey, I'm Scott Fleming, and I'm in the Boo Club.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Battle of Ontario Hockey Podcast, featuring a Senators fan and a Leafs fan. We're here to talk about your two favorite teams, the rest of the NHL, local hockey, hockey all around the world, and to bring back memories from your favorite hockey teams and players. If you love the Leafs, Sens, B-Sens, NHL, or any other hockey, including the late Belleville Bulls, you are going to want to tune into our podcast. The gloves are off, the buckets are spinning, let's get the chirps flying. Welcome to the Boo Club! Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Battle of Ontario Hockey Podcast. This is our first episode in 2023, and boy, do we got lots to talk about. We also had a guest on this episode, actually a teammate, the first ever teammate of both Brendan and myself. I have to call him Brendan because this guy's last name is also Fleming. So we got Scotty Fleming. We're going to be jumping on here in about 10 minutes. So it could be a little bit confusing saying Flem, but but before we get there, we got to talk about World Juniors, buddy.
Yeah, for sure. So, man, what a wild ride. And, it was funny. This is the first tournament that they've kind of got off fully since COVID, right? And, man, being in Halifax and, being in a junior city, that was the right call, 100%. The atmosphere was just like I remember, kind of when it was at its peak. People were hungry for it. And I know it's obviously always better when Canada's doing good, but, a crazy tournament, the Canada goes down 2-0 to the U.S. You think, they're kind of done. You think maybe they're overrated. They come back and win. They go on and take Czechia down in the finals and overtime, and just some memorable moments, like the Bedard goal. I haven't had this much fun watching a World Junior in, I'd say, a decade maybe. Broeky, what about you?
Oh, I thought it was amazing. And the first thing that you nailed on the head was the junior atmosphere. I think when you play this, it's a junior tournament. So when you play this in junior cities, anybody with a junior hockey team, I think it's much better. I think the only big city that kind of fit the best that I've seen and heard from a lot of people was Ottawa. But Ottawa's also a junior city. You have to remember that, right? But to have it there. I mean, I think they said it had been 20 years. It's not going to be 20 years again. I'll guarantee that. They'll probably be back 4 or 5 years. And I'd like to see them do some junior cities out west as well, because we know there's some junior cities in Western Canada that are going to be like, holy shit, we can do this. We can pull this off in our barns. The barns are big enough, and the fans would be crazy enough. So, I mean, to go up that was really cool. Obviously, the last couple were different with COVID. Lots to talk about, though. The States game you brought up, they were up 2-0, and then obviously States had 2 disallowed goals. I'll ask you your thoughts on the disallowed goals, but I might as well just start since I'm babbling anyways. The second one was 100% no goal to me. He pushed, it's on his pad, the whistle should go. He pushes it in the net. It's goalie interference, really. This first one, I think personally, if I'm making the rules of the game up, which I'm not, but let's say we're going on what's best for the game, that should be a goal. But having said that, the IIHF and all their tournaments have very strict rules when it comes to crease and all that stuff. It's different than the NHL, so you have to understand that. This is not the NHL. It's not the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. If it's the Stanley Cup playoffs, it probably would have been a goal, but it's not. So they're saying it's no goal. By the book, it's no goal. Personally, I think it should have been a goal, but again, if you go by the book, good on Canada, battle back and stay with it, and end up smoking them a little bit. But the States were flying, though. They ended up putting up 45-something shots. Canada's goalie there, how do you say his name? How do you say his name? Malich? I don't know how to say it. Don Cherry. Anyways, he stood his head. He was awesome. He was awesome the rest of the tournament. So, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat on both the goals. Goal number 2, easy, no goal. The guy just practically spears the goalie under the pad. That's no goal anywhere in the world. The first one that was disallowed, I'm probably in the same boat as you. In IIHF, there's no way it's a goal. Man, you can't even skate through the crease and I'm pretty they almost blow it dead if you skate through the crease without even touching the goalie. So no, the first goal is not a goal under IIHF rules. Would I make it a goal if I was running the league or hockey? Yeah, maybe I'd have to think about it. But I think even in the NHL that might be called a no goal right now. I'm not 100% sure, but I mean, it's up in the air. He obviously made contact with the goalie. He is making a move at the same time. So, you got to let the players have a little skill out there, like the forwards. Like, man, it's hard to score. If you bump the goalie while you're doing like a little spinorama in front of the net, like, I can see why they disallow it because guys might start running the goalie kind of thing or, making it look like they're doing that. But to me, like just looking at the play, I think it's probably a good goal. Just if I was making the rules. But I mean, under current rules, no, like there's no way in hell it's a goal. I mean, it is what it is, right? Those two calls that's kind of how it had to be under the IHF rules. And I think both of them are no goals in the NHL as of today too, kind of.
The problem is, though, honestly, like even if you look at the NHL, you can't sit there and be like, that's a goal or that's not a goal because I've watched so many plays over, like, say, the last 5 years, and you're like, that's a goal, and then they call it no goal, or vice versa. Yeah. Like, there's no way they're calling that a goal, then they call it a goal, and you're like, I'm lost when it comes to even goaltender interference in the NHL too. So honestly, it sucks for the States to have two disallowed goals. One for sure was no way a goal anyway. So, but and it's. Like people go, well, they won 6-2. Well, one was an empty netter, and that would have made it. And they allow that other goal. That's 3-3. So that's a whole different hockey game. So tough on the States, but sorry, America, you just aren't good enough. Canada champs again, and the Czechia. I thought I was watching. I was like, man, Canada's dominating. And it's 2-0. Like they scored the third one. This is over. And then all of a sudden they go down and score 2 in like a minute or something. It's like, what just happened? Like, holy shit! What a change of events. And then overtime was awesome. I don't like the 3-on-3. I know you don't like it either. I mean, if they did want to do it a little different, so it didn't go on forever, do a 10 or 20 minute 5-on-5, then go maybe a 10 minute 4-on-4, then maybe a 10 minute 3-on-3. If you want to do it something like that, but I'll take it over shootout in a gold medal game though. Like shootout.
Would you take 3-on-3 over shootout? Really? I don't know if I would.
I would. At least it's hockey. At least it's some sort of hockey. Where shootout, it's just one player from each team. I like it in regular season because the game's got to end quick. These guys they're playing a lot of games, a lot of minutes. They got travel, everything. Playoffs, I love the way the NHL's. I like the NHL's the way it's ran actually. So I mean, I'd take 3-on-3 over shootout. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I might be a little different than that, but I'd have to see. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of the 3-on-3. I'd even like to see the NHL go back to like 4-on-4 overtimes. I don't know. I'm not a 3-on-3 guy. Like. It's a glorified skills contest out there. Like you're playing on professional size ice.
That's literally a skills contest. Literally.
That is for sure. But they're not trying to sell me that like 3-on-3s. Like the shootout is what it is. Like everyone knows it's a skill contest. 3-on-3, what they're trying to say is like, yeah, this is still hockey anyway. There's no way 3-on-3 is real hockey. Like 4-on-4 you can kind of make the argument, but 3-on-3 no way for me. There's just too much room. Like everything's a 2-on-1.
Connor Bedard, how does he rate his Monks as the top Canadian to play ever junior hockey, or for the World Juniors for Team Canada? I guess the way I should word it. I mean, he's got to be up there with all the rest of the guys. I mean, obviously points wise he is, but I mean, I know he didn't get a point that last game, but still, like the guy was phenomenal. And not only that, I don't know if you knew this. His first game back, did you hear in the WHL? 6 points, 4 goals. Not a big fucking
No, I didn't hear that, no.
Yeah, sorry, my camera fell there. But yeah, 6 points, including 4 goals in his first game back with Regina. And what did they say? If he was in the NHL, like 82 game pace, he'd be on pace for 90 goals and like 200 and something points. I know it's junior hockey league, but the kid's only 17. They got to remember that. This isn't a 19 or 20-year-old playing. I think this kid's phenomenal. Is he going to be as good as McDavid? Maybe not. It's hard to bet. It's hard to bet that because honestly, McDavid's so much better than the rest of the league. I think, but I think he's going to be the next guy. I think there's McDavid. I think I know McKinnon can show signs of that. I think this guy's right up there. He's going to end up right up there with them. I really do. I think that. You?
Well, I still think Matthews is going to be up there as a top 3 player in the league. He's having a tough year this year, but the guy scores goals. That's the most important thing you do. He's going to bounce back. But yeah, like. What's funny is at the start, like you could see he was skilled the whole tournament. Like you could see like all
I'm putting him into that category. I'm not better than Matthews. He's going to be.
Yeah, like I don't know. I kind of thought at the start of the tournament, I was like, hey, like you can really see he's skilled, but like, is he big enough? Like what wingers really make an impact? Like his goal scorers. Like you got like Ovechkin, right? Like he's no Ovechkin. Like they're a different breed of human being, right? And then as the tournament goes on, you see him keep as the bigger moments come when he's not just scoring against like, your Latvias and your Germanys, then you see, okay, like, yeah, he can do some things here. He's definitely going to be a legitimate NHLer. Is he going to be like a top 3 or 5 player in the world? There could be times when he definitely is. I don't think he's got like permanent top 3 written all over him, but I mean, he's going to score goals. He's going to average 40, 50 goals a year, be
I think
better
you got to
than
look at his age, man. He's 17. He's 17 and he's doing this shit, man. He did way more stuff than the other guys did at that age. So I don't know. Like you say, it's a prediction, but I think he's going to be a top 5 player in the world when he gets going. Like, when he's 22 kind of thing. Maybe it takes him a couple years to get going, but 20, 22 in that range, he's going to turn it up. That's my take, but we'll see. I think everybody's feeling that way. I think without a doubt, he's going to go number 1. We're not going to have a Shane Wright scenario. Shane Wright kind of wasn't what people think.
He got traded
I always
today?
thought. No.
Shane Wright got sent down to the OHL, back down to the OHL, right? And he got traded to the London Knights today for like a couple players, and I think like 6 picks.
Yeah, Corey Cooper at its finest. That a boy, Coop. Loading up, and he's what Coop's going to do, because I think they're trying to go for the Memorial Cup next year to host it. Are they not?
2024. 2024.
Yeah, the following next year. So I think Kingston's going to be loading up for next year. So I mean, if you're Kingston, that's a no-brainer. I mean, I heard people, why would Kingston trade it? Because they're not going for it this year. They're going for it next year.
Yeah.
Shane Wright will not be in the OHL. That's a guarantee. So get rid of him. And I don't mean get rid of him as a bad thing. Get what you can for him and load up for next year when you're going to be going for it. You're going to be in the Memorial Cup. So,
for sure. I wasn't impressed with Shane Wright. Like, I don't know. I watched all the games. I didn't think he was that much. He looked a step slow, to be honest. Like, he didn't look any faster than any of the guys that aren't on the show right now. And as we know in the NHL, like, speed's a big thing now, right? Like, you got to have quick feet. And I don't know if he does. Like, I'm shooting from the hip. I'm not saying he's going to be a bad NHLer, but does he kind of fall into that, like, third line center mold, like fall into like a defensively responsible guy, like a David Bolin kind of thing, Like, I don't know. I don't know if he has the foot speed to be like a first line center.
I think you're right. I think at the end of the day, look at the scouting. And I always thought this even before he was drafted. I said, to me, there's no talk about Shane Wright. It's all about the Bedard kid. And this is like 2 years or a year and a half ago I was talking about this. I was, because you could tell the difference, right? This kid's a year younger. He's already more ahead. And I think that's probably the reason why he went 4th overall. Now, he's an NHLer, no question. We're just saying he's not the Bedard height. And I think you're right. I think he probably nailed it on the head, to be honest. He's probably going to end up a second at best liner, maybe even dwindle into a third liner, depending on, how things go and injuries, whatever team he's on. He ends up staying with Seattle, but I don't see him as a first liner. I just don't. I don't see that huge upside poise, the skill level, the speed. Although we did have that beautiful goal, that was really the only really glimpse of first line, unreal material. You got to remember, he's a year older. He's already got drafted. He's already had this NHL, partake. He's learned a lot more than, say, a guy Connor Bedard. And to me, they're night and day players right now. Give Connor Bedard all the experience that Shane's already had, and imagine, he might have put up 40 points. That's my point.
You can't even – there's not any comparison between the skill level of Bedard and Wright at this point. Like, Bedard is head and shoulders above. Like, if you were going to make a trade, it'd be like trading Connor McDavid for, like, oh, God, I don't even know, like fucking Tom Wilson. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't – they're not even the same ballpark, right? Like, it's weird. But speaking of McDavid, I was kind of talking about someone with this today. Do you think, like, McDavid's on point for, like, 150 points, man? Right now, if McDavid stopped playing at the end of this year, let's say he puts up 140, 150 points, is McDavid a top 10 player all time? I think he is, man. The guy is phenomenal. Like, he's out of this world good. If his career ended today, I would slot him in, like, 6, 7, kind of behind Crosby.
Okay, so here's the predicament. Like you say, is he top whatever player? How do you judge that? Because, like, if you look at it this way, okay, it depends what generation they're playing with. Okay, you got to drop him back a bit. He hasn't won cups and stuff. But if you look at the best player, he's the best player that's ever played hockey because of the skill level he's at now. And you know what I mean? Like, the skill level now to 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, Bobby Orr played is night and day. Like, none of those players could play in the NHL now. Bobby Orr might struggle. But again, we're talking different generations, guys. So anybody listening is probably like, what the hell is he talking about? I mean, just the best player to ever play the game right now, skill-wise, is Connor McDavid.
And do
It
you
is.
agree that
But
Crosby's
if
number
you
2?
take generation and degeneration, which is literally what you have to do. You can't do what I'm saying. He's going to end up top 10, maybe top 5 all time. Hard to put him in there now because he hasn't had the success with teams, and guys like to count that, but I mean, yeah, how do you argue? I mean, the guy's phenomenal.
Would you put Crosby's number 2 most skilled player all time? Just remembering Crosby when he came into the league, and like it's a different animal too. When Crosby came in the league, like they're still hacking, slashing, fighting. Like it's a completely different era. And Crosby's still dangling guys all the time.
And Orr, like, are we talking? Like, you got Gretzky and Orr sitting there.
You don't think Crosby is more skilled, just more skilled than Orr and Gretzky? And I think so. Easy, man. Crosby was unreal. Don't forget how good the guy was.
No,
like
for
you're
sure.
saying generation.
The skill levels are different.
Yeah. I'm saying skill level, like you said McDavid. You said McDavid's the best skilled player of all time. Yeah.
They are. They're for sure, yeah. But I mean, I think in the next 5 years, we're going to see more guys that are more skilled than Crosby. And it just because each generation gets better and better and better and better. Like some of these guys, like remember when Patty Kane came in? We're like, oh my God, I get the hands. Yeah. Like there's more guys like that. Like watch Zegras in a penalty shot. It's like, holy shit. It's like Patty Kane on steroids. Have you watched any of Zegras? It's insane. Some of these guys are coming up. So
Zegras, I mean, the skill. I got to say this, bro. I'm going to cut you off here. Zegras' blindfolded shot at the All-Star, or like break with the All-Star game, I think is still maybe the coolest like skills thing I think we've ever seen in hockey. I thought it was unreal. How does it? And like he didn't just walk down and like remote, like he fucking picked it up on his blade and like did a Michigan almost. Yeah. Like the guy, phenomenal, unreal, too good.
The skill level on the guys coming up are unreal. Even the kids, you see them now and you're like, holy fuck, this kid's 10 years old and I couldn't have done that in my best years as junior. It's phenomenal, the skill level. So like you say, I think the old argument is you have to compare generations and what was going and happening at that time of generation. If you're not comparing generations, you're just going skill level over skill level. Well, you're always going to have the newest guys, right? That's just a fact of it, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what else you want to chat about, bud? We've gone off rails a little bit. I know we want to get to Scott soon, but you want to talk about the Leafs and Sens quick?
Yeah, we'll get Scott here in a minute. I'll just maybe 5 seconds for my Sens. They're still hanging on here. We're still really close. I think we're 7 points out of a playoff spot with 2 games in hand. They got to start winning games. They lost their last game, though, 8-4. I didn't see it. I watched some highlights and whatnot. But the only good thing about that game, because obviously defensively and goaltending were shit, I don't even think they allowed 30 shots and they allowed 8 goals. But Timmy Stützle, hat trick, 4-point night. I had an apple on there, too. I think he's 4 points over a point per game. Like I predicted, I said he's going to score at least 70 points. You were like, no, he's going to get like 40. Well, he's on pace for like 90. So I think this kid needs to go to the All-Star game because he's an All-Star.
I bet you doesn't get 90. Do you want to bet on that?
Oh, fuck yeah. You go from like 60 to 90 now, eh? Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm just chirping on Facebook. It's different than we're sitting here betting money. I bet she doesn't get 90. I bet you doesn't get 90.
I think he's going to end up with 80, though. I think he'll get obviously if he plays all the games and is healthy. I think he's missed a few games, not many, but he's missed a few. But I think he'll set
the line at like 85 and a half. Let's set the line 85 and a half and make a bet on it.
Any lines. Well, I mean, you wouldn't even bet me on Matthews, you vagina.
But you want to bet like 6 weeks into the year.
Are you starting to get nervous about our bets for Sens making the playoffs? Because I mean, they still lots of time, and if they can get on a run here,
not at all. I think.
I
think the Senators are like DOA. They're done. They're dead in the water, man. They're dead in the water.
They win their next 2 games. They're 4 points out, even games with 40 games left. How can you be dead?
They've got to jump Detroit, Florida, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and the Islanders just get to the playoffs. Are they going to outplay all those 4 teams down the stretch? There's no way, man. They haven't shown it. They got their goaltending's too weak. That without Norris, they're not the same team. There's no way they make it. I'll double down on that bet, Broeky. I'm not scared at all. I'll double down.
I'm not doubling down because the odds are against me. But at the end of the day, for you to say they're done, it's like there's half the season left. And they're going to get Norris back here very soon. And they've been doing way better. If they took away that 7 games where they lost, they didn't get a point in 7 games. They take that out. They're on pace with Toronto. Like, I know you can't just take 7 games out, but it's just saying if you take that bad streak out, I think they got a chance. I don't know if they're going to make it. I think the chance is between 30 and 40% though, because like if they would have beat Seattle, I know if they would have jumped 3 teams in the standings right there, 3 teams you just named, they would have been ahead of them right now. So, anyways, we'll see what the next month.
But they're not.
Well, They're also
Florida and
11th
Buffalo's
place back
Florida and
Detroit,
Buffalo's
number
both
8.
got game in hands on them. There's no way, Broeky. I'll bet more. I'd even give you odds they don't make it now.
What's the odds?
I don't know. I'll give you like plus 150. So if you bet 100, I'll give you 150.
Oh, I got a lot of money riding on this already. I don't know if I can throw more on the table. I honestly have too much, so let me think about that one. I would normally take that. I just already have so much on it. Too much.
Yeah.
So, anyways, any take on your Leafs before we get Scotty?
Yeah, so I'll just cover the Leafs quick here. So the Leafs were recording on a Sunday here. So the Leafs won again tonight. Broeky 6-2 against Philly. They won Saturday night 4-1 against Detroit. My biggest takeaway here, coming out of the Christmas break, is do we have a little goalie controversy on our hands in Leafland? I've kind of dubbed Ilya Samsonov the what's that?
They both suck.
Yeah, I've kind of dubbed like Ilya Samsonov like the Russian Jack Campbell. Like whenever he has a bad game, he comes on. He's like, "Oh, I'm not good for a team," and he's all sad. Like you can tell, like he's really down on himself. And then he comes out the other night. He played great against Detroit Saturday night, and I don't know. I thought it was weird how they kind of deployed them. Like Samsonov got the first start coming off Christmas break, so something they're telling me like Murray might have like some like nagging injuries. Another kind of thing that told me this is when the Leafs were getting routed the other night. I think against Seattle. They could have easily went to Murray, like they could have pulled Samsonov, but they didn't. They didn't want to go to Murray cold, kind of off the bench. So, is there an injury there, or is it just kind of the tide shifting into goal? Like at the start of the year, it was Murray's the number one, Samsonov's 1B, but I kind of think tides are turning here in Leafland, and we may have a new number one goalie in town. It's Ilya Samsonov. I don't know about you, Broeky, but if the playoffs started to get today, I bet you Samsonov gets game one. I think that's what Keith's thinking. I kind of just Keith's a weird dude. He would roll with Murray if he thought it was the thing to do, and he's not doing it right now. So I'm kind of thinking Samsonov might be the 1-8. That's kind of my thoughts on him.
This is going to change 10 more times before playoffs, Fleming, to be honest. And I think before these 2 wins, Toronto's had the worst goaltending average in the last month. Before these 2 wins, if you actually look at stats, they were like under 900 save percentage.
Oh, yeah. They were.
They had a rough month. Now they're getting back under.
That's why I was saying there might be a change because they've been both playing bad. Like, and if Murray's playing bad, they've kind of went to Samsonov a bit more. So that's my thought on it. But I recognize it'll change, and I don't know. I wouldn't want to make that call if I was Keith going into game one of the playoffs. Like, it's going to be a 50-50 toss-up to me. So hopefully someone gets hot and they establish it, but it's not happening. Like, they're pretty much on pace to do a dead split this year, which can't be good. Like, do you want to go into the playoffs against Vasilevsky and not know who your starting goalie is? I don't think so. I wouldn't like that at all.
Definitely tough. I mean, I think the first loss they switched, so we'll see what happens. I think their goal is to try and get Murray, and if there's a game 7, they got Murray in there. I honestly have thought that since the day they signed him, just because he's won 2 cups and he can play under pressure, and Toronto's goalies have struggled to do that. Not that it's been clearly just their fault, but they haven't got the win. So if it goes to a game 7 with Tampa again, which might be probably who they're going to play again, they're hoping that, right? So, do you want to get to Scotty? I can do a little intro here.
Yeah, here. Why don't you tell everyone about the bus trip here first? We're doing Broeky, and then we'll cut Scotty.
Yeah, so we had 2 bus trips, March 18th and April 1st. They're both from Belleville with stops on the way to Ottawa to watch the Ottawa Senators and the Toronto Maple Leafs play. So we've got 2 chances, guys. These bus trips are both going to sell out. So make sure you get a hold of us. You get a hold of us at Pay It Forward Sports or Live For Today Travel, or send us even personal messages, whatever. Tickets are going to go fast here pretty soon. We got a couple months away, so there's a little bit of time. There is tickets available for both. We got first level seats. We got first level seats. We got third level seats lower and third level seats higher, but in the middle. I've sat in all these seats, guys, throughout the years, and there's not a bad seat in the house. Prices change. Prices start at $220. That's all your taxes, fees, everything included. We're going to even have a couple giveaways on the bus, and it's a ton of fun. You can bring your own coolers too. We're not against that. We're not one of these strict guys. We actually like to have a lot of fun on our trips, and everybody. We've had the amount of people I've had come back, for multiple ones is crazy because they just love it. They don't want to go on any other buses. So get a hold of us. You got the Sens taking on the Leafs. I imagine it's going to be, Ottawa. Toronto's going to be fighting for home ice, and Ottawa's going to be probably fighting for hopefully a playoff spot. So I imagine they're going to be 2 massive games come down the stretch, and there will be a ton of fun. It will be a lot of blue in the building, unfortunately. So Leaf fans, Sens fans, get a hold of us, get to the game. And then we also have something that is going to be launched very, very soon. We are finishing up something very special. Hopefully within days is our goal here, and we are going to launch it, and it's going to be the biggest event of the year, one of the biggest events of the year, because we have another one that'll be launched again in the summer that we did last year for anybody that follows Pay It Forward Sports. So this is going to be awesome, guys. Hint, hint, Las Vegas with the boys if you're a champion. So we'll leave it at that, but something big coming soon. And you want me to hit to Scott?
Yeah, go ahead. Hit the Scotty, buddy.
Okay, so Scotty here, we're going to call him Captain Scott. He's a captain of the Tyke Selects with Fleming and myself. He was also the captain of the Belleville Bobcats, the captain of the Quinny Red Devils, the captain of the Wellington Dukes, and the captain of Dartmouth NCAA Division I college. This guy was a captain almost everywhere he went. Also played pro in the AHL East Coast, Scotland and France. Awesome career, awesome guy, Belleville native. Here he is, Scott Fleming.
All right, guys. For the first time ever, we have someone who played with both Broeky and I. He started his career off by lighting up the OPJHL during his 3 years with the Wellington Dukes, and in his final year put up 68 points in 48 games. After junior hockey, he got a full ride to Dartmouth College, where he played 4 years, putting up over a point per game. During his senior year, he was given the honor of being named team captain and leading his team into an incredible season. After college, he played 5 years pro hockey in the ECHL and AHL before going over to Europe to finish his career off. He put up points everywhere he went and is likely the most successful player born in 1988 to come into Belleville. Ladies and gentlemen, Flem 2.0, Scotty Fleming. Scott, what's going on, buddy?
Thanks. That was quite the introduction.
What's going on, Flem?
Oh, not much. Just enjoying it. A little cold out here today, but just enjoying a lazy Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Fleming, you forgot to add something to that intro. This guy was the captain almost everywhere he went, too, right? Tyke Select.
Oh, yeah.
All the Bobcats, Quinny Red Devils, Wellington Dukes. Even Dartmouth, he was the captain there. So we got a captain on the hands today. It's good to have you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
It's good. I was going to save some of that stuff till the show, Broeky, but just blow his bubble right away. So Scotty,
so anyways,
go ahead, Broeky. Just start it off.
You want me to go? Yeah. So this is kind of interesting because you're the first person that the three of us played together. I know it was like, I don't know how many years ago, 25 years ago that we probably played together, but it was kind of fun. Brendan was telling us a story about his dad brought up about the captaincy thing, actually. Maybe he'll talk about that later. So, and then obviously you went on to the Dukes and Dartmouth and then pro hockey. And even I was looking at your stats, even lit up kind of the France league and the English league there. So I'm interested to hear about that too. But maybe tell us about how you broke through kind of with Wellington. Start that way.
Yeah. So my first year in Wellington, I was pretty fortunate even just to make the team. I wasn't drafted to the OHL. So back then we were allowed to have a couple more underagers. I think now it might be 2 or 3. I'm not sure what it is, but we had quite a few back then. And my first year, I wasn't that great, but it was really good, just learning curve. I just kind of from then on just continued to improve and kind of got lucky and then was able to get a scholarship. So it just kind of worked out really well for me. And Wellington had some really good coaches and some teammates that kind of helped me along the way.
Now, when you made that team as a 16-year-old, you were on a AAA card or something, weren't you? Because you had to wear a cage, I remember.
Yeah, I was on a AAA card. That's right. Yeah, I wore a cage and I had to wear a neck guard. So the chin quite a bit from the cage back then. But we had, I don't even know how many 16-year-olds we had that year. But I was just on an AP and I was just fortunate to kind of make the team and play on that card and kind of work my way from there.
Well, I remember because I was on the Quinny team that year, Major Midget, and I remember we're like, oh shit, maybe Fleming's on a AAA card. Maybe we'll get him back, right? But obviously, for good reasons, for your sake, we didn't. And then, obviously, like 2 years later, you're the captain of the Wellington Dukes. So pretty good start to make it as a 16-year-old on a AAA card with a bunch, there's a lot of 16-year-olds, and then make that jump so quickly, right? Especially into your second year. I think you had some pretty good stats and probably playing with some good guys like OJ too, right? Guys like that. So.
Yeah. The first year we actually had a lot of guys injuries and stuff like that, which near the end of the year I was able to get a little bit more playing time and kind of cemented a little bit more of a spot. And then coming into year 2, I felt a lot more comfortable just in that league, and got a little bit stronger and had a good year. And that was the year that OJ had like 90 some odd points. So he really carried our team that year. But then from then on, the year after, I was captain, and we had a really good, successful year that year. We made it pretty far in the playoffs, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, what did you guys win that year?
We
won the league.
We won the league. Right? Yeah, we won the league, and then we beat St. Mike's for the Southeast one, and then we lost to Aurora in the kind of final of the OP, which would have got us to the Ontario tournament.
Yeah. I remember those battles with St. Mike's with you guys, though. It seemed like almost every year it was like Wellington, St. Mike's, and there are other fans that come down, you go there, whatever. So pretty good. What was Marty like? You got any Marty stories or?
He was a good coach. I liked him.
Huh?
He was able to kind of push people's buttons in the right way most of the time. Some guys might not agree with that, but for me, he was a hard coach. Sometimes you didn't quite understand his tactics. He'd sometimes just go around the room and just point to every person who's playing like crap, and you just be like, I played one shift. I don't even know what he's saying about. Like, it just like, but he was, because the first year it was Lavi was the coach, and then Marty came back for my second and third year because he was in the OHL before. So those 2 years he was a really good coach. One of the best I've probably had.
So what was do you remember Marty's like biggest chirp at you in the dressing room, or any good ones to you specifically?
No, I can't. Not off the top of my head. I wish I could.
Like Scotty, though. Scotty worked hard, though, right?
Yeah. He tried to black those ones out.
And
yeah.
Was there something about Jingle where he had to sit on the bench for like the entire game because he went to Hablock or something, and Marty didn't want him? There was something like that. I remember how cold those benches were. That old barn was chilly.
I do remember because Havelock was during our training camp, and he ended up, I think, missing the weekend. I think he got it okayed or something, but he was one of Marty's whipping boys at times, Chambo, for sure.
Great guy, an easy whipping boy though.
Yeah.
So Scott, like, were you always thinking about going to college when you were playing Tier 2, or like was there ever any offers to kind of go to the OHL after year 1 or 2 kind of thing, or like what was that kind of path like for you?
Yeah, just not being drafted. I was just always a smaller guy, and back then, I think in the OHL and stuff, it was a lot about being a bigger guy and stuff like that. And just kind of how I was raised, my parents' education was always a big thing for us. So it was always NCAA, and then even like a guy that Broeky and we played with, his older brother was at St. Lawrence, so we went to St. Lawrence when we were younger. So we were pretty like aware of NCAA. So that was more of a route that was just a better fit for me and my game and who I was, I guess.
Now, did you ever go to like the 48-hour window or anything?
No, I didn't do anything like that. There was just it was never really even a scenario where I'd want to lose my eligibility and risk it. So I never even attempted any of those things.
Okay, yeah. You got another one, Broeky?
I was just going to say, yeah, I remember it was Dale Clark that went to St. Lawrence, right? I remember that trip actually. But I'm surprised Brendan asked that question, because to me, you were always like the smartest kid growing up. So I knew if you were going to go one route, it was going to be the college route for sure. And that's not a knock. That's a compliment for sure.
Well, and like once playing pro and stuff, met a lot of guys who played in the OHL and then CIS, and they've had really good careers from that. So that's, I think, a bit of a newer opportunity that I didn't even realize was even an option back then. But usually to play in the OHL, you want to be one of the better guys early on.
Yeah, you don't want to play on the fourth line and play, 5 minutes a game and not develop. And then a lot of those guys end up playing NCAA at the end of their career anyways. I've seen so many guys that end up playing as a 20-year-old because they can't make it as an overager, right? So, maybe tell us a bit about how it all came to get to college in Dartmouth and how that came up.
Yeah, so it really wasn't until my third year where I was starting to get a little bit more kind of talking to more schools and stuff like that. There was a little bit of conversations in my second year, but nothing too serious. And then the start of my third year, I talked to, I think I visited Canisius and a couple other schools kind of in that conference, which wasn't the best conference for NCAA. But then Dartmouth was interested in me, and I went down and visited the school and like the campus, the games. And back then they had some good players that went on to have pretty good NHL careers, like David Jones, TJ Gagliardi, so they had a bit of a good name, I guess. And from then, after the visit, came home and they called and offered me. And then from then on, it would just seem like a no-brainer for me. The school was good, great school, and then it had good hockey. And from then, I just decided to kind of sign with them. And so then it kind of allowed me to relax for that year rather than push it later on. So, and I really wanted to go to the next year. I think if I waited another year, I probably could have maybe had more offers, but I was really keen on trying to leave Wellington that year. So that was the other thing that I was pretty happy about.
What was the rush to leave Wellington? Was it just to get out of the small city to get to college? I was already had graduated high school, so I was taking 1 year off already. I just felt like I was ready, like my game was ready. I didn't think I needed another year in the OP. I didn't think that would do me any better, but it's also just like you're just young and you think you're good. You just want to go. I think that's a natural kind of reaction. Everyone wants to go right away. It might not be the right decision. Thankfully, it worked out for me, but I kind of got lucky because the year I went, we had 2 guys leave. I think it was 3 forwards leave early. Like they were gonna, like TJ Gagliardi was a freshman and he left for the NHL the next year. So that would have been my first year. David Jones left early. Another forward, I think, got caught cheating and then he transferred out to Maine. So then that left 3 forwards that were just gone, and then it kind of almost opened up more roster spots. And you can't really sign guys later, right? Like it's usually pretty like a year in advance. So it allowed me to play right away. So like looking back on it, there was a lot of things that I got lucky to kind of get me there.
So year one, what was it like? So what were you studying to start with, and were you living on campus or were you living like kind of off campus? What was year one like for you?
Year one was a blast. My class, there was 9 guys. So I was living on campus in a dorm with a football guy in just a one room.
Toga.
Yeah. And then it was a liberal arts school, so like we didn't really have to actually decide our major until our second year. You had to take like French or language, science. You had to take a bit of everything. I ended up taking economics was my major, so I took some of that stuff my first year. It was a bit of an adjustment going to classes and doing that stuff, and the hockey. It was a bit of an eye opening. I ended up playing every game that year, which was pretty fortunate. We we weren't great, but it was just a blast. Like you get there and like the experience I had was just unbelievable.
Lots of partying, or what's it like
Lots
to
of
be
partying, yeah. So, well, it's the school. It's a small city. There's no bars or anything. There's just all fraternities and sororities. So it wasn't until we kind of had like a hockey frat house. And then it's not until your second year that you can like pledge and then become part of the frat. So then I did that my second year, and then my third and fourth years I lived there. So yeah, lots of good times happened.
What fraternity?
So you're
buddy?
not part of
What?
What fraternity?
It was Kai Harrod was what it's called.
Is that the one you went to too, Broeky?
National one. We had national ones. We actually, the one like Kai Harrod was beside it was called AD, and that was the Animal House was based on Dartmouth, so that it was based on the fraternity that was beside us.
Wow.
So
Cool.
the Animal House movie?
Yeah,
No way.
my third year they actually had Otis Day there. It was
What?
yeah, it was wild.
That's hilarious. I love that.
That's pretty sick. I didn't know that. Classic.
Yeah.
What a classic. So what was the hockey like? Because you end up, obviously doing well there, and your last year, I think your fourth year there, you're the captain, right? So obviously, kind of like Wellington, you start off, you kind of get some ice timer, probably faster than maybe you think because injuries and stuff, and then take advantage of it. And a couple of years down the road, you're the captain of the team. So a lot of similarities with Wellington and Dartmouth, or was it a different process?
I guess there was quite a bit of similarities there. I ended up, for whatever reason, I ended up being a bit more of a goal scorer at Dartmouth, and Wellington, I was a bit more of a playmaker. And at Dartmouth, I just kind of got a little bit hot scoring, and I kind of kept that up. My first year, I thought it was pretty good for a freshman year. I was pretty happy with it. My second year, I kind of built on that. And then my third year, I was assistant captain. And that year, everything I shot, I just scored. I think I had 20 goals or something. I was like maybe top 5 or 10 in the nation goals. And that just was just really surprising. And I was starting to get, after that year, I went to the Columbus rookie camp. I was getting a little bit of interest from about pro after that, so that was exciting. And we didn't have great teams those first 3 years. We were okay, and then my fourth year, we were pretty good, and we're really close to making to the final tournament. We were just kind of one winner game away, so that was kind of unfortunate. But overall, it was pretty successful there.
Yeah, 20 goals is a lot though, because you only play 30-something games.
Yeah, we played less than Ivy League, so it was I think 33 or something. I can't remember the actual number of games, but that was It was,
but it's not like the OP or OHL or anything like that, right? They're playing way more. So, fans wise though, what was it like crowds? Like, is it crazy when you score kind of thing down there? I know some of those colleges are it's pretty unreal to play at.
Yeah, ours was so. When we played Princeton, that was our big kind of rival game, and our first goal it'd usually be a sellout, and the first goal, everyone throws tennis balls. Student section.
Oh, that's cool.
So that was a lot of fun. And then going to Cornell was always a blast. The fans there were really good. Martin, it kind of some schools are better than others for fans, but some places it's a lot of fun. It really gets you fired up to play there.
Yeah, for sure.
So kind of coming out of year 4, I guess after year 3, you lead the team in points. So, and then you say you get some interest, but so going into your 4th year, what are you thinking? This is are you thinking, can you go back for another year? Do you have another year eligibility, or are you thinking like, I'm going pro after this?
Yeah, it was. After my fourth year, I had graduated. I had all the courses, and I was ready to go. I had an agent at that time, and it was I was getting interest from Phoenix, and he was trying to see if I could get a two-way deal from them. I ended up signing just an AHL contract with Portland, their farm system team. So that is kind of how that was the best offer I got after my fourth year, and I took that.
But you said you went to Columbus rookie camp, right? The year before, was it?
Yeah.
How was that? What that experience like?
Yeah, it was a really good experience. That was the first year that Ryan Johansson was drafted. So I ended up actually roomed with I think his name was Colin Long, who was teammates with Ryan Johansson. So we ended up hanging out with him quite a bit just from like being roommates with one of his buddies. So it was a really good experience. It was a bit of an eye opener. Guys like him and Cam Atkinson was there, like some good players. So it was a great experience. And from then, I think I didn't have as many points my fourth year, so I think that hurt like my options, because usually like teams want to see progression year after year after year in points, and that didn't happen. So that was a little bit unfortunate, but can't really do much about it.
Yeah, for sure. So you started out in the ECHL, but I want to. So OJ told us a story that he essentially recruited you to Fort Wayne. So is that story true? And did you know that he didn't know 100% if he had the pull to get it done when you told him okay?
Well, I'm sure that story is true. So I after Dartmouth, I signed with Portland in the AHL, and then I didn't. And then I initially got sent right down to Gwinnett in the ECHL, and I played 6 games, and I got a bad concussion, and I was out the whole year. And so I was just like, it was a miserable year. I didn't play. I wasn't feeling good, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna retire from hockey. So I didn't play for the rest of that year, and then the next year after, I wasn't playing. I was just living in Toronto and working, and then Oj invited me down to the Indy 500 on like a Wednesday, and I drove down Thursday, and then it was late Friday night at like 2 a.m. where he's like, "What do you think about coming back and playing with Fort Wayne? I think I could get you. I could get your contract." I was like, "All right, let me think about it." So then it worked out. I still had to make the team because none of those contracts are guaranteed.
No, yeah.
I was kind of, I don't know, I thought I could do it, so it worked out.
So like, did you
had
come back to work?
What's that?
Did you come back to work? Like you said, you left on like a Wednesday or a Thursday. Like, did you just stay in Fort Wayne at that time, or like did you come back and like, or did you give your 2 weeks notice at least?
This was in maybe May or something. I can't remember what.
Okay,
month.
yeah.
And then I came back, and then I started to work out again and stuff like that. Get trained and stuff.
I
And then
thought you just maybe left on a Thursday,
games.
just told your boss to suck it, kind of thing.
Yeah, that would have been a better story.
Yeah, go ahead, Broeky.
You end up playing some games. Was it that following year in the AHL?
Yeah, that year. Then so I'm playing with Fort Wayne, and it was having a good year, and got called up to Worcester and played 4 games with them, and went to a couple of the games were in St. John, so that was quite the experience to go out there. It was in like January. The snowbanks were just like it was pretty cold, but it was a good time. And then I think it was after that it was the All-Star break, and then from then they just sent me down because they were getting guys back from injuries and stuff, and it's just a numbers game. I thought I played well, but they got so many guys on contracts that it's hard to crack it.
Mile One Arena in Newfoundland, but is it a big? Describe the jump from the coast to the A? So the coast
it's like you only have 10 forwards and 60 versus the AHL. There's four lines of forwards, so the pace in the AHL is it's a lot quicker. The East Coast, you're having to play a lot more in the East Coast. Your travel games, it's just like your three games and 3 nights in 3 different cities. So you're just like your legs, and you got to pace yourself a little bit. In the AHL, it's kind of like balls to the walls. Like everyone is out there. You're hitting. You're going hard. There's just a different level of intensity, and there's less kind of time and room in the AHL for sure. That you got to be a little bit. I think my first game, it took a couple minutes to be like, oh, this is a little bit different pace out here than in the East Coast. So that's the main thing. The skill level is not much difference. I find some of the top guys are, but it's the size and speed. So.
I like that take though. That's a good example because I knew that myself, but a lot of people probably didn't know that. They only have like 3 lines and 1 an extra in the coast and any league below that. So definitely, like you said, the pace, right? Like you got to think, you get an extra line out there, man. That's rest for 3 other lines, mixing in kind of thing. So you're definitely going to have way more legs. So yeah, no, that's pretty good to hear. Like, so look, playing all these pro, well, I do want to get to the Europe part here, but even in North America, what was the best place to play at? In North America, whether it was pro or college.
Oh, that's a good question. I have to think about that for a sec.
Well, you can get back to us, man.
Yeah.
The Wally Dever.
Wally Dever, the old Duke Dome, eh?
Yeah, the Duke Dome. Nothing beats the Duke Dome. That was love playing there.
I hated those fucking horns, man. Right, you get scored on, right?
Yeah, I love playing in that ring, and like the small ice surface, we had the best like home ice advantage. I think our last year we might have lost 1 game, and then we'd always play Trenton and the Yardmen, and we just wouldn't know how to play in the big ice because the Duke Dome was so small. We'd never do that well in the bigger rinks. But
well, that going from like Trenton or Wellington to the old Yardmen was night and day, man. It's like double the size. I remember playing in that. My legs are done after halfway through the first. I'm like, because you got to go so much farther to try and make a hit, or you know what I mean? It's a huge adjustment.
Yeah, you have to play a different style. You can't play like the same forecheck. Like you have to drop back a little bit.
Yeah. So what made you go over to Europe? Like, what was the decision to pull the trigger on that?
So after that year in Fort Wayne, I could have went back to the coast, but I kind of realized at my age and where I wasn't really going to probably have a career in like the AHL, and I didn't really want to keep grinding in the East Coast. I wanted to go to Europe just for the experience, maybe to make a little bit more money. So I was hoping maybe to try and get to maybe like a Germany second league or something like that, but it ended up getting offer from the UK league with Fife Flyers, and it was a good offer, and it was kind of an easy transition going to the UK rather than a country that doesn't speak English. So ended up signing there, and did not regret it at all. It really enjoyed the year there, the people, the experience, the travel, and everything. It was unbelievable.
OJ went there with you, didn't he, or no?
Yeah, he did, but he followed me. I signed first.
So you brought him on board this time, eh?
Yeah. So we actually.
You don't have to give us the. Sorry, go ahead, buddy. So you don't have to give us the number, but how much more are you making going over to Europe as opposed to like the coast? Like, is it double, triple kind of thing, or is it kind of similar?
It's definitely a bit more. The exchange rate and stuff like that helps. It all depends on your contract. Yeah. Everyone's a little bit different, but it's 1.5 to 2 times more depending on where you're going and what you're making before.
I hear there's a lot more beer drinking in that league, though. That's the rumor going around like just all the time. Who was it played in that league? I think it was it Norm Miracle? Did he play in that league? And he was saying like the first star or something would get like a case of beer. I think is what he was saying.
Maybe back then we didn't have that. our schedule was we'd play Saturdays and Sundays. We'd have Mondays off. Tuesday, I think we practice at like 8 p.m. Wednesdays off, and then Thursdays we'd practice at like 10 p.m. and then Fridays at 5. So we never were up before noon. It was just like,
that's an unreal schedule though. Like,
yeah, because we had some local guys that worked, so that's why we practice at night. So like the Saturday nights, the Tuesday nights, and we were about 30 minutes outside of Edinburgh, so we could hop on a train and head there, and that's a great city.
Yeah, maybe like tell us a bit about like the experience away from hockey. What was that like?
Oh, it was great. There was some golf courses locally that we could get like free passes to. We weren't too far from St. Andrews, and I was able to get out to St. Andrews and golf.
No way! How cool was that?
It was in the winter, so it was a lot of fun. It like some holes, depending on the wind, you're just like. I remember, I think it was like the 13th or one of the par threes on the back nine. It was like 150 yards, and if we hit a driver, we wouldn't have even made it there. Like the wind was so strong.
That's so funny because I remember playing Tiger Woods, and you play St. Andrews, and you're like, "What the hell's with this wind? Like it's crazy, right?"
Yeah,
well, it's probably I think it's the most historic course in the world that at least I know of, right?
Yeah. So like whenever like people came and visited, we always go to St. Andrews, and you could walk around, and like the city's really nice. And then Edinburgh was absolutely. It's one of the most favorite cities I've ever been to. It's just it's a great like it's a lot of old like cobblestone. It's a lot of fun, easy to get around. And then we'd get times off throughout the year where we'd maybe get 4 days off. So went to Ireland, went to Dublin, and then like where else? Went to Paris. So like you get some time off there where you can really travel and see some great things, and it's so much cheaper once you're already over there to travel. So it's pretty easy.
Yeah, you can get like
just one follow-up question for me. What was your best score at St. Andrews?
Oh, I only got there once, but I think I was 90 something. I can't remember. It wasn't, but they didn't have it. They didn't have it as tough as like they have it for the majors, right? Like they like.
Don't tell anybody that, Scott. Don't tell anybody that.
Yeah.
Just tell me.
I'll cut that part out for you.
Yeah.
Got a 90. There you go.
I would have been 190. Well, Fleming, you would have been about 200, buddy. Brendan, that is.
Yeah.
And then, so you end up going to France. What was the switch like? How did that happen?
So after UK, I ended up playing another year in the East Coast in Greenville. From the UK league doesn't have a ton of respect amongst the other European leagues. It's hard to move from like the UK to like Germany or like or France or another country. Even though I think the hockey's good, it's just kind of one of those things. So I wanted to try and get someplace else in Europe. I didn't want to go back again to the UK league. So I ended up going back and playing in Greenville. And then the next year I got an offer to go to France. So I played in Lyon, and another great city. Loved it. Loved the league. It was a lot different because there's a lot less imports. The UK league, I think we had 10 or 11 imports, and most were Canadians or Americans. And in the France league, I think we had 5. And there was me and a French Canadian, and then we had a couple like Slovenians, maybe a Czech and a Slovakian or something. So there was a lot more like language barriers there. But it was a lot of different experience, but it was still a lot of fun, just kind of getting to know different cultures and different type of people.
So the only Canadian on the team then, is that right?
There was a French Canadian was on the team.
Oh, French Canadian. Sorry.
Yeah, he had been there for a couple of years, but he obviously spoke French there, so that made it easier for him.
And was the hockey
pick up the language at all?
I tried to pick it up. I just don't have that part. I'm just not able to. I took French in university. I tried to pick it up there. Their broken English was better than my terrible French, so they do that.
It is hard to speak French there. Like, so I was in French immersion in school, and like I could speak French pretty well. So remember when like Stream was in Belleville? I used to work in like the French call center there, and literally spoke French all day. And when I went to France, I couldn't understand them at all. Like, it's a different language almost. It's wild.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, I've heard that from like Quebec French versus like France French. It's a totally different language.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So what are these leagues like in France and whatnot? Because I don't know if do you guys get pretty good crowds, or like do the people know about it from the cities? Or
yeah, the crowds are pretty good. Some of the rinks, some of the places did really well. It's not the bigger cities, a lot of them, but there's teams all over, and it's a lot of. So we had, I don't know, 10 to 15 local like French people on the team, so that helps. And then they do have pretty good fan bases. The league's pretty good, actually. It's not great, but it's probably it's hard to compare it to other ones. The top two lines are really good, and then there's a bit of a drop off. Like our team, we just played two lines. Like it was just kind of like that. We weren't deep, but the better teams have guys that are on the French national team, and they're pretty good players. So that kind of helps their team.
So would you compare kind of the East Coast, like as far as skill goes, or like how do you? I guess
Probably
it's totally different style of hockey.
A little bit lower than the East Coast, I would say. It's just the top end skill and like the depth just isn't good. There are some really good players. I ended up, one of the guys that played on the team with me, he ended up making the Slovakian Olympic team and got the bronze medal, I think.
Holy shit, good for him. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what was it like kind of growing up in Belleville? Are there any coaches that you can reflect on that were a big part of your development kind of thing? And what was it like kind of being the man, like Broeky said at the start, like you were kind of the captain at every level. So was that like some added pressure for you, or was it just kind of business as usual and having fun?
Just trying to have fun. I didn't try to kind of think about that too much. I just try to be myself, and I just kind of like playing hockey. I just, like going out there, having fun and winning. Winning is more fun. So I try to kind of do whatever I could to win. Probably like my minor midget year with Quinny, Steve Trace coach, and I think that really helped me out. The year before, I wasn't that good.
I don't think the coach had something against you the year before. You guys butted heads. I know that. I won't say
so that wasn't.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So yeah. But then the minor midget year was he was a good coach, and I think it really helped my development. And I think I got a little bit bigger and stronger that year too, which probably helped a little bit too in my development. But it was I thought we always had decent teams our year. We were never the best in our league, but we were always fairly competitive, which kind of helped, I thought. We had a pretty good group of guys, and we didn't really go on or get drafted high in like the OHL or stuff like that. But I thought for our team, we were pretty close to making it to the finals, right? That last year.
Tough go. Do you remember the crossover game or whatever it's called? The backdoor game with Whippy. We're up 2-0. We lost 5-2. Johnny Hughes had 5 points.
Yeah. Were you on that team? I didn't know that.
If we win that game, Johnny Hughes doesn't go close to first overall.
I know.
He went first overall with Belleville that year. Crazy.
We played him so much growing up, right? Like we played Whitby so often. So it's like seeing him go first was. But even our OHL draft year, those guys weren't like we weren't like it wasn't a good year.
It wasn't like its strongest, yeah.
No, so
yeah, that was a tough goal. But I think you played with Melanson and Free that year, didn't you? Quite a bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Melly was a year off. Melly he had a lot of skill. Well, he played in the O.
Yeah,
I remember Wellington. He would play in the O, and he played like fourth line, but then he played like first line power play because he had a lot of skill, eh?
Oh,
like, especially the power play skill.
He even played with Wellington. My first year, I think he played a little bit up too. Yeah, he was super skilled guy. I don't know if he just didn't get the breaks, why it didn't work out for him more, but yeah, he was good.
Who else, like through the years in any league, name a couple guys that maybe made a big influence on you or just were just unreal as far as players go?
Let me think about that one. We had some good guys at Dartmouth. Like my first year, Nick Johnson, he was our captain. He ended up playing a little bit in the NHL, a lot in the AHL. He was kind of just a workhorse guy. He was very skilled, but like just put in the time. And he kind of like early on when we were there was a big role model, I think, for all of us, like new guys. So he was probably one of the bigger influences. Obviously, like in Wellington, like Oj was quite the player. So he was always kind of a year ahead of me. So even for going to NCAA, he was somebody kind of relied on and talked to about stuff like that, just because we kind of did have similar paths. So that was excuse me. That was one, and then some other good players. I do remember when playing with Worcester, Yanni Gord was on that team. So that was, and he actually was just in the East Coast like the year before and worked his way there. Like he has grinded, and then to see him now like win a Stanley Cup and stuff was pretty incredible. Just like the hard work. I remember back then, like they just spoke so highly of the whole organization, talked about him, just like the work ethic. And that's kind of it always comes back down to that.
Oh, pretty good answer. I like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What do you got,
too
Brendan?
bad too. I think he signed like a $25 million contract in Seattle or something too. So
That
he's doing all right.
Yeah, that's not bad.
It's 20 million or something. Yeah, it's a good number.
Yeah. American too.
Yeah. So Scott, I kind of got a funny story. So this is back in the day when we all played together. But when I told my old man that we had you coming on, and he said, oh yeah, I remember Scott Fleming, and he told us a story about we used to drive up to the game. I remember West Bowers.
Yeah.
So we'd go usually like we lived kind of close, so my dad and Marty would go up together, and they'd have kind of beers in the cars, and one would drive and one out, and then we'd sit in the back. And so in the playoffs, I think whatever Tyke or Novice or whatever, we were playing Clarington. And he said, if you played Clarington 4 times in the year, they probably beat you like 65-4. Like they just crushed you every game. So first round of the playoffs, we went up to play Clarington, and pretty much the whole ride up, I remember my dad and Marty just saying, you two just got to run around, just hit people, and go to the front of that, slash the goalie, just get the puck to Scott Fleming, and he'll take care of it. That's how you win.
Doesn't sound like your parents at all, Marty and Bill.
Yeah. Yeah, just whatever, 9 years old, just hit people and get the puck to Scott. And we won the series too. Like I think 3-0 or 3-1 or something like that too. So they were right.
I did not. I don't remember things like that, but I love that story.
I didn't remember it either, but yeah.
I don't remember it either, but that does sound like Bill and Marty. Just run around and take guys' heads off. Oh, gentlemen.
Yeah.
You got anything else, Brent?
No, I don't got anything else, buddy. You got anything you want to? Well, I do got one. So Scott, how proud of your career? Like, kind of growing up in Belleville, grinding out in AAA, and then, making the rounds. You made some money, played a couple, 5 years pro, made some money over in Europe. So how proud are you of that? How it all played out?
Oh yeah, I couldn't have been more happy. Like I think during I always wanted to kind of get to the next level, but then looking back on it, I couldn't have been more fortunate. It's like to have kind of the career that I had, I think could be like any kid's dream. Like it's not always about the NHL. That's like a very tough thing to do. Being able to play as long as I did and kind of the experiences and stuff like that, I couldn't have been more happy. And so I know I've been very, very fortunate. There's been a lot of like lucky bounces and lucky kind of opportunities that I've got on the way, which it happens for everyone because there's not much difference from me to the next guy. You just got to get those kind of opportunities with the team. So I know I was pretty fortunate, and I'm just kind of thrilled with how it ended. Obviously wanted to get to the next level, but at the end of the day, I was very happy with my career.
Any one-time memory that you know, what's like the biggest memory from your career? Any one goal or one play or?
So when we were when I was playing in France, it was in Lyon, and they actually just had a new soccer stadium built. I think it was like the Euro Cup. So we actually played an outdoor game out there in the soccer stadium. So that game was a lot of fun, and I ended up scoring the game-winning goal. It was 2-1 game. So I do remember that one. And in that league, the leading points for the league were like a different color helmet. So
the yellow helmet.
I had different helmets throughout the year. Me and my line mate who won, who was in the Olympics, me and him were always like back and forth with it. So that was always fun.
That's pretty sick. I love that. So I got a question. How does the helmet work? Like, do you guys each have your own yellow helmet, or it's like the same helmet go around? Like,
so ours was, I can't even remember. It wasn't yellow. We had just a blue one, I think, and everyone, or it might have been red. I can't remember what color, but it wasn't like a flashy yellow. It was just like a different color. I think we might. I don't know if we split it or not. I can't remember. That's a good question.
Crazy though. Imagine that in the NHL. Like, well, I guess it'd just be McDavid now, but they already can see him. But when it's tighter, and I don't know. I think it's cool to see in Euro leagues. I don't know if I'd like it in the NHL, but it is. Will guys like target you when you're wearing this helmet? Like, do you play differently or?
I think you naturally you have a bit more of a target on your back. Like it's right. Like you just stand out a little bit more. So I'm sure there was a little bit more stuff after the whistle going after those types of guys than somebody else. But
and does the red helmet get any free drinks or anything else after the games?
Oh, I wish, but no, nothing.
No.
No, I didn't like our owners a whole lot in France. There were some issues sometimes getting paid. So
yeah, you hear about that a lot over in Europe.
Yeah, I ended up getting everything, but he was a bit of a sleazeball.
He was trying to get away with stuff. Yeah. Well, one thing I like what you said just before there that and I think it's important for kids growing up and stuff just to realize that the end-all goal doesn't have just to be the NHL, that to have a successful career and, you can go and play college and get a degree and play pro and, minor pro and whatnot. And the stories and the friendships and, the memories you'll have along the way, is a pretty good secondary thing compared to the NHL. So it's not NHL end-all. So I love that you said that because I think that's really important for anybody listening and anybody with kids just to say, hey, your goal can be the NHL. But at the end of the day, it's not a failure if you don't make it there, right? So it sounds like you had an awesome career and you're proud of it. And we're happy to have you on today, buddy. It's pretty cool having 3 old teammates from not 30, but 25 years ago. So thanks for coming on today. I don't know if Brendan's got anything else.
No, that was it. Just thanks for coming on, buddy. And it was always kind of followed your career a little bit, and it was nice to see you make it and definitely make some money. So happy for you, and thanks a lot for coming on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. It was great catching up with you too.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. We'll have to have a beer sometime, maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, go back whenever.
Hey, guys, welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed Scotty Fleming there, Fleming 2.0. Lots of fun there and lots to hear good stories. And I think the biggest thing with me is that, you don't have to make the NHL to have an awesome career and to meet a lot of people and friendships and relationships, and, just memories and guy got to tour all over Europe, played in France and all that stuff. So really, really cool. So anybody with kids, let them know that the NHL is the only way, right? That are playing hockey or any sports. It could be baseball and not just hockey, but thanks for coming on, Scott. It was our pleasure having you. We had a ton of fun. And yeah, guys, we've got some big things coming in probably within the next week or even a few days here follow Pay It Forward Sports, because I'm telling you, anybody that plays hockey, we got something awesome coming. So get ready for it.
And guys, check us out, payitforwardsports.ca, the biggest tournaments anywhere you're going to find in adult rec sports. They're coming your way starting very soon. We're going to launch one couple days, going to happen in April. And then July is obviously the biggest golf tournament of the year. We don't want to get into it yet, but check us out, payitforwardsports.ca.